We're live. Hello. Oh, I just noticed that. I look a bit weird, don't I? I'm quite shiny.
You've got
Anyways.
to add it to the setup behind you. You might say it's looking
Yeah, yeah,
filling now. It's very,
you,
very
you,
filling.
yeah, you waited to once we started the show. Yeah, I did. Added some prints. Um, Pain in the backside to set up because of a multitude of different reasons, but yeah, it's really weird. I could get into the logistics of it, but this is not actually where I'm sitting is not the center of the frame. It just looks like it is because there's the wall on this side, which
Yeah,
looks like the
yeah,
frame cuts off here, wait,
yes,
there,
yeah.
but it doesn't. The frame actually cuts off here, so it just looks like I'm center of frame when I'm not. It's a yeah. Anyways, unrelated. We can speak about this after the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Rest. I'm your host, Arsenal Matakos, and we have returning from his
Yeah,
1 week absence, Nathan. How are you, mate? Have you recovered?
yeah. Well, I've recovered. Didn't know my spot on this show was on the ropes last week. If you'd caught the start of the show, I was
Well, that's the third time you've been absent, so
well. Look, I'm back now. That's all that matters. I might hit the reserves, once a week, once every few weeks. But I'm back in the seniors, and
back in the
that's what's
ones.
important. So I'm back, and I'm good. I'm ready to go.
Lovely. Back fresh, better than ever. How was your weekend? Obviously, Friday night was great. Not that you saw anything of it,
Yes.
unfortunately. But
Yes.
no, apart from well, including Friday night, apart from that, how was? I'm assuming you did some state league, some NAB league stuff.
Well, yeah, yes and no. Well, Friday night, yeah, I did was out with doing other things on the Friday night where I wasn't able to. I caught the last bit of the game, which was fantastic. Caught up the replay. Not a whole heap going on this week with state league. The Vic Country girls played their first game against Queensland, which was yeah, it was okay. Some good performances. And there's this Queensland girl that is 15 years old that would probably go top three in this year's draft. That was nuts.
There
Ava
you go.
Rusher. If you got some spare time, look up her highlights. It was yeah, you just watch a player and you're like, wow, they've got it. But very dominant. So yeah,
There
look,
you go.
good weekend.
Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. Of course, Friday night was great, but we're going to speak about that. Although starting off the show, we're going to be speaking on Collingwood and why they are not going to win the flag and why they're rubbish. Naturally, obviously, after Friday night, no, I kid. I feel like I'd get copious amounts of abuse that I don't need to get. But let's obviously it's a pretty big kind of week in terms of there's two big talking points. One, about a player and one about I guess two about a player technically, but
Yeah.
I guess we just have to kind of delve into those conversations a little bit later. But let's kick things off with the story that probably has fueled the football media. Um, that has fueled the football media throughout the week, and that is, of course, the whole situation with concussions. Now, this obviously stemmed from Saturday night in the showdown when Alir and Lockie Jones had a very hideous looking kind of hit. And obviously, subsequently, Lockie Jones was then subbed out with a migraine. And Alir returned to the field of play, played out the rest of the game. And then, of course, a couple of days after, both of them failed concussion tests. This has blown up
Mm.
into the biggest shitstorm the AFL has had in a long, long time, considering what's happening right now with the litigation around concussions, considering the fact that
Yeah.
Max Lynch has had to retire this week, former Hawthorn and Collingwood player, because of concussions. Fox Footy put out an article with Sam Hayes, former Port Adelaide player. He played games with concussion throughout his career, most like very recently as well. Well, like I think taking it back just a step, I don't know if you watched the game live. I didn't. I didn't see the incident live. When I first saw it, my immediate reaction was that's very nasty. Like it wasn't a glancing kind of incident, that innocuous kind of incident. It was a full head-on-head collision.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I mean, I was flicking between the two games, so I didn't see it live. Saw the replay. It just goes back to the integrity of like the competition, I think, because if this is what you're going to allow, that a team can get away with this, then when it comes to suspensions, if you knock someone on the head, well, why does it matter? They got up and played afterwards. Why punish it? And it was just disappointing to see that it just just kept going. There was nothing to see here type of thing, and I just don't understand why you would ever allow a player to go on after something like that when we've seen what it can do to you, post your career if it keeps happening. And there's no guarantee he was going to get hit again after it, but in the case he does, I mean, you've already taken that first risk putting him back on, and it was just disappointing. I don't understand how even not the boundary umpire, the interchange umpire, like, shouldn't that be something they're aware of? Like, that's, I don't know if that's within what they can do as being on the bench, but it was a complete mess. Like, that's just complete. Like, it just emphasizes like how important it is and how well it needs to be managed, or else the effects afterwards just go way too far and can get pretty negative.
Yeah, no, and this is going to be bear with me when as I tell the story. But the day after, so the Sunday, I went to the pub to watch the UFC, right? And in the main event fight of the card, I went Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. For those who know, but Dustin Poirier got head kicked, knocked out, clean knocked out. He fell the exact same way Ilya fell the night before. Almost like if you put someone getting clean head kick, knocked out, and then the Ilya incident, and they played side by side, both people fell in almost identical ways. There's no way that Ilya can go back onto the field after that, right? He folded like a deck chair, both him and Jones. I think Lachie Jones was out before he hit the ground. You could see his eyes were rolled back. You could see his eyes were in a state as he's falling. It's one of the... I don't even know if it's genuinely unreal, like not in the celebratory way of something being unreal, but like it shouldn't be real what happened. It seems like it's something out of... It seems like no one thought that would happen, right? It does not seem real that happened. I saw a clip that was posting that had all the radio commentary from the incident in Adelaide, and all but one of the radio stations were very concerned at the fact that he was coming back on. Unfortunately, Triple M, I don't know who the commentator was, but they were praising Ilya's braveness, which I think is not the avenue to go down when commentating that incident. But I think we'll touch on the punishment or the potential punishment that Port should get later on. But surely, I think you alluded to it, surely there should be something to prevent this, right? Because, I think we all think that there is something, right? Everyone has to go through a SCAT-5 test, which is a concussion test. HIA protocols aren't what we thought head injury assessment protocols were. There's something different, far more lenient or far more soft in comparison to a SCAT-5 concussion test. How both players, or at least Ilya, weren't mandatory, like it wasn't mandatory for them to go through a SCAT-5 test is beyond me. SCAT-5 test anyway. Is there, surely there's something that we can do to prevent this, right? Because especially in this day and age with the litigation that's currently happening, he was concussed. Like, Ilya played that rest of the game fully concussed. He failed a concussion test on the Monday. You don't develop concussion overnight. Like, you got it from that incident, and it was obvious.
Yeah, well, I think it still goes back to that interchange umpire. That should be something. Oh, thank you. I am feeling better. Thank you for that comment. No, yeah, that umpire should be equally responsible to make sure if a player's come off injured, well, someone should be reporting to him to say, look, here are X. Well, here's evidence to suggest he's ready to go back on, because that, whatever the Port Adelaide doctor did, he's compromised the health of a player
drastically
for an AFL win, right?
Which they didn't end up winning for a home and away game.
It's madness to think, because especially the implications of that on that doctor, and not even like tomorrow, right? In 5 years, that could be very daunting to think about if O'Leary, if something happens to him. I think CTE's, I think it's CTE. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's post concussion and the effect it can have on the brain, right? If that does happen 5-10 years down the track, well, all roads lead back to that doctor. He's compromised the health of a player, and it's not justifiable. It's never justifiable.
No,
I don't even
not
think in a
any
grand final, not in a grand final, it's you cannot afford to do that to a player, because at the end of the day, football is not everything. So yeah, it was just I just would love to know what the decision process was, if that was multiple people in communication about what to do, even if it was a coaching directive to say, look, as long as he says he's feeling all right, put him back on. So because surely you cannot put it on one individual. I'd feel like I don't think an individual could have the guts to do that. I feel like there'd be a directive between multiple individuals.
Well, Port have formed for this. There's been multiple instances. I think Hamish Hartlett, if you're tracking back, I can't remember what year it was, but Hamish Hartlett, I think it was Todd Marshall and Zach Butters, I think. I think those were two players who had an incident maybe last year. I think it was at the MCG. Or might have been, I don't know. It involved two Port Adelaide players. I think also another player as well, not that long ago, had a similar incident where they both had concussion issues. Or they both had head knocks, I should say, and then obviously all the players returned to the field of play or didn't even go off in the first place. I would like to think the motive behind it, maybe not motive, the justification is we think they're okay, rather than we know they're not okay, but we want to win this game of AFL football. Because which do you think is worse? If the justification behind it was we thought he was okay, or if the justification was we just wanted to win? You're back.
Move on. I didn't hear what you said, so I had the question.
I'll repeat.
Didn't hear the question.
What would be if the justification from the doctor or whoever made the decision, because Port have formed for this, if the justification was we thought he was okay, we genuinely thought that Aliir was fine, because people have had head knocks and have continued playing, right?
Yeah.
Players have had head knocks and continued playing. Well, Alex Chincotta against West Coast, right? If we're using a calm example. He said got driven into the turf, and he played on the rest of the game. As far as we know, doesn't have concussion. You'd like to knock on would assume that he's been ticked off all good. It was just a head knock that happens in AFL football, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the justification for bringing Aliir back on was we think he's okay to play, would that be worse than if the justification was we know he's not okay, but we want to win this showdown?
Oh, I mean, sure, it's not.
Because I think they're the only two reasons he returns to the field of play. The only two reasons.
Or he's verbally said himself,
"No,
I'm okay to play."
That's not a reason. But like it's like AFL football is a psycho. To be an elite, to be like I hope like I how do I word this? To be an elite at something, there's got to be at least a few screws loose, right?
Yeah.
Up, right? In terms of a competitive and wanting to win at all costs aspects, you tell 99% of AFL footballers you're going to tear your ACL in the first quarter in a grand final, they'd say, I want to play out the rest of the game, even though it's probably not right for them, right? That's just the way that's just the way it is. So I don't buy that personally.
Yeah. Well, look, I still think it's neither are justifiable. Like I don't. The motive would definitely have to be that they assume. Well, you can't even assume in that case. Like you actually genuinely have to have like belief. I don't even know. Not even belief makes sense.
You have to have concrete proof that he's okay.
Yeah, it really comes down to evidence.
And how do you have concrete proof if you don't do a SCAT5 test? If you don't do a concussion test, which I did do.
Well, you don't have anything. It's
pure negligence from whoever it is. What should the punishment be? I don't think Aliir is not complicit in any of this. You'd like to assume, right?
Yes.
Because regardless of if he said, yeah, I'm all right, doc, you're not. Like, you're obviously concussed. He's not complicit in any of this, right? So you can't put any blame on Aaliyah, right? What should the punishments be? Because they've broken the rules. They didn't do a concussion test. That's breaking the rules of the game. And they've compromised the player's health, like you said, which I think you made a great point there, to a drastic manner. Like, this is not just, oh, he's broke his foot, we'll just strap it up and go and play. And it's be like, oh, you just have to be in a cast for longer, or you might not, like, you just can't play footy for a little bit longer. This is compromising the health to the greatest degree, right? What should the punishment be for the doctor, for the people involved, and also the club, in your opinion?
Yeah, it's a tough one to think about, because do you punish the club, the actual, premiership points? You probably can't do that. That's
a lot of people have
they're
been
not
saying
losing.
that. A lot of people have been saying that.
Yeah, I don't know if that'd be harsh or not, because it's,
if you want to stamp down and if you want to make a statement, docking them 4 premiership points it'd be bold. It'd be really bold.
it would be bold, but that's not going to. They seem to not really. They haven't really given us anything. The AFL haven't given us anything to indicate that they are bold about this situation, apart from it was wrong. But I always think a fine's appropriate. These people have money. Is it really like? I just wonder. To them, is it? There you go. We move on.
Like Port Adelaide aren't going to fold. There is no way.
But even I'm just saying, if you find the doctor, like, it's himself, like,
yeah, but the club will just pay for it. Obviously, the club will pay for it. Yeah, right.
That's why it's
like, this is what I'm saying. There is arguably 0 point to fining an AFL football club, because the idea of a financial punishment is to kind of punish a team for doing something wrong, and that punishment leads to the club not being able to run properly if they have no money, right?
Yeah.
All the clubs are AFL assisted, or 90% of the clubs have been AFL assisted at one point. If Port Adelaide all of a sudden fall into a bunch of debt because they've been fined $5 million for this incident, the AFL will just give them the money back, because they don't want. Of course, why would they want Port Adelaide to fold? Why would they want Port Adelaide? Like, that's absurdly stupid, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I think fines are very poxy, a very poxy punishment.
I guess. Well, yeah. Then when you say that, and I agree that you have to look at premiership points, because what else can you do? You can't restrict the way they play the game. Example, you've got one less sub this week. You can't do that. Like, you can't affect the way they perform
on the field. Yeah,
on the field, right? So yeah, it would either be points or. Or the AFL could just literally step up and say, look, from now on, you have to show clear evidence. I think
that's got to be non-negotiable, though, surely.
Well, yeah. Well, yes, it should be. It's surely, points, or they implement something else.
Isn't there a independent doctor on the bench? I feel like that's the thing that happens. Well, that's. Well, like, I feel like there is a doctor on the bench.
There's paramedics. I mean, that's a given. Like, everywhere.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Which I think that's all there is, to be quite honest, because I think each club's got their respective medics. But
should there be an independent, an AFL, like an AFL doctor on the bench at every game for situations like this, where they can step in and be like, no, we are compromising the health of this player too far? Because I think, look, it's competitive sport. Compromising the health of a person has its limits. If I'm not going to use a calm example just so I don't jinx anything. If Jack Viney from Melbourne, right, grand final, first quarter, cops a really bad knock to his knee, right, it blows up, swells straight away, goes down to the ribs at halftime, and the doc goes, you can sit out this game and you'll be fine, or you can play this game with a few jabs, but you might do some more damage. That's compromising the health of a footballer, but that is probably far more accepted and, I would say, more justifiable right? Because you can repair a knee. You cannot repair a brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why it needs to be sacred. Like, it needs to protect the head at all costs.
Does. I mean, if it's not an independent AFL doctor, well, yeah, I mean, you've got the paramedics there, and they're as impartial as it gets, you'd assume.
Yeah.
Unless you've got a mad supporter of one of the teams that's playing. But
Yeah.
regardless, you still think that
Yeah,
wouldn't impact
they would
their
do their
decision.
job, yeah.
So that should be enough. I mean, it's not like there's just one paramedic there sitting on the side. Like, there has to be,
multiple, yeah.
So, yeah, there's so many options. Yet, why are they not being taken?
Yeah, I don't know. It's obviously Earlier and Lockie Jones both ruled out, obviously, of the game this weekend. Entering concussion protocol, so you'd assume they'd be gone for however long concussion protocol is. I think it's 12 days. So they could miss one, potentially even 2 weeks, 2 games even. I think finishing up on this talking point, surely they need to come out swiftly, right? And be like, before their game on Saturday night or whatever it is. Surely they have to act swiftly in this.
I'd agree. Yes. My answer is yes on that part, yeah.
Yes.
But I don't know what hasn't happened already. I mean, you're halfway through the week and we haven't heard.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah, I mean, hopefully pretty soon.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great comment here. Yeah, brain issues can affect behaviours down the track. So many examples of former athletes causing tremendous harms to themselves and the families post-career, of course. I mean, you only need to look at the people like Shane Tuck and Danny Frawley as well. Like, surely we need to learn by now, right?
Yep.
But obviously, thinking of Lockie Jones and both Lockie Jones and Olivia, hopefully they recover swiftly, and hopefully it's a one-off incident that is stamped out, and hopefully both of them can recover and return to full health relatively soon. Let's move on from a damper to another damper, but also feel-good story. But also, I feel like we could speak about this player for quite a long time. And that's Lance Buddy Franklin announcing his retirement. Over the last week after his calf injury has basically ruled him out for the rest of the season. Suffered in the second quarter of their game against the Essendon Bombers. Yes, over the weekend. First reactions when he saw the news, I was shocked because I thought he's been playing some great footy. I thought he still had at least a year left, even with the calf injury. I think he can be maybe not a 23 game a season player, but 10, 15, 16 games a year. Beautiful mentor to Joel Amadi and Logan McDonald. I thought he has one more season left, but it's a shame that he's gone out.
Really, I wasn't too surprised. I thought he should have ended it last year on a high if they'd won the grand final.
I think that was the perfect, like the Joel Selwood-esque kind of.
Yeah, that was. I don't know. I haven't been too. Look, I'm pretty scarred by him, to be quite honest. So the retirement for me was a sigh of relief, but also a great player exiting the game. Like, that is how bad he scarred me, to the point where I can't actually sit back properly and enjoy what he's done, because it's like,
yeah, he
killed us. And it was always
single time.
It was, always a tough watch. So yeah, look, where you think he probably could have gone I thought it should have ended last year.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I never understand the thing of playing past your potential, really. Like,
yeah,
I do think it was a bit motivated by cash, in some way. Like, he knew his best was past him.
Yeah,
and especially with a team like Sydney, where you've got youth coming up that are pretty impressive, right? Like you said with McDonald and Marty, like, let them go.
Yeah, it's the passing of the torch. Yeah.
But, I mean, he's done it now. Look, I think he sort of realised it, which, fair. Obviously, he wasn't going to come back for the rest of the season, even if they made finals. I don't think it was something that...
Yeah.
I'd assume conversations within the club were probably like, look, we can't risk to have you out there and we're down a man pretty much. But Scott, I'm being very negative about this. But let's touch on the positive side of it. So this is what I mean. This is what I mean.
He's scarred us.
It's trauma.
He has his most Brownlow votes against any team against Carlton. 21
Does
Brownlow
he
votes.
actually? Oh, what a surprise!
Shock, eh? Shock.
That's unbelievable. But yes, moments.
Yeah, I think also just touching on the ending of his career. Shame it's injury ridden, if that makes sense. Yeah. But I also think I wouldn't say it's fitting, but he's just gone. No fuss, no fanfare. No final game pomp and circumstance for a player who was so charismatic and so such a showman on the field. We all know off the field he was as quiet as a mouse, right? Didn't speak, didn't want the attention. That's why he left Melbourne. Wanted to get away, wanted to leave the bubble. So I feel like just announcing it on a random Monday night or whenever it was, after just suffering injury, be like, yeah, it's my time to go. I feel like that's a bit fitting for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best way to do it, I think, instead of purely
trying to cling on,
and make it an event, sort of, in a way. It was honesty, and it was just sort of done. And I think he probably didn't like the speculation either. Like, it's probably not a nice thing to hear. Oh,
yeah,
you got to put the boots up, all that stuff. So, yeah, did it in a pretty good way.
Yeah, it did. I think when we look back at his career, I don't want to call out Josh here because he's probably a fan, probably a good man. But look, Lance Franklin famously once kicked 2 goals 11 in a game of football, and God forbid Harry Mackay did that. God forbid. So maybe not the best mentor in terms of being able to kick the ball straight. But if we're talking about probably the most exciting footballers to ever play the game and pound for pound one of the best I've ever seen, he's up there. Definitely the best forward in the modern era. A friend of mine described it really well. He had literally everything, like pace, agility. Normally when you have athletes, they can't really kick the ball. But he was one of the best exponents of kicking, maybe not a goal, but a field kick of a football or a kick on the run. I mean, how many times have we seen Buddy take a mark from 70 metres out, just swivel on a dime, just bang, from 70, let one bounce goal, easy as you like, right?
Yeah.
Just so many moments. We could literally sit here speaking forever. So what I also realised when I looked back at his career, him and Anthony Hudson, unbelievable moments together. The 13. Yeah, the 13 is obviously one of the best kind of calls. The greatest showman. Give him a longer contract. Just so many he's arguably one of the best player commentary duos. Maybe Cyril and Bruce have that claim, but they're not that far behind, surely.
Well, then Orazio and BT. That's
and
Lloyd.
Boy.
But the moment that sticks out for me, which is a weird one, and I guess especially his Hawthorn times, I don't really remember game by game. Purely because we were both below the age of 10 until he moved to Sydney. So most of Sydney days are what I remember at the very least. But it was his goal in the 16 grand final that swivel around, like you said.
Yeah.
And it was when it was still close in the fourth quarter, I think, or late in the third. And just one of those moments, big time goal. But
big time, yeah.
I do remember, I remember the moment of that Essendon goal, but I don't remember watching it.
The Hooker goal.
Yeah, I just remember the TV being on, but I can't actually remember watching it. But I remember it being a thing. So, big moment.
Oh, yeah. I think, how can a bloke kick 13 goals in a game, have one of the best commentary lines of all time, couple that 13th goal, and it not be in his top 2 moments ever? Top 3 even. How is that a thing? That just shows how many moments and how good he was. Because it's you have the 100th goal, 1000th goal against Essendon, the hurdle in the middle of the MCG and kicking it from 85 metres, then the 13. Then he kicked another goal against Essendon, very similar. That goal at the Adelaide Oval, which kind of mirrored the goal against Essendon.
Yeah.
a couple of goals at the SCG, like from 75 meters out, whatever it was. Like, I think it's hard to go past the 1,000 for me. Like, the spectacle of that is like something we'll never see. Like, he's going to be the last person to kick 100 goals in the year and kick 1,000 goals in his career. 100 goals in a year and 1,000 goals in his career. He's got both of those.
Yeah.
He's got both of those. I don't even know like where to go from here. Like, if you like, where would you rank him in terms of forwards you've seen?
Forwards. Well, I've never had to think about it. I mean, it has to be one because I can't really like.
It has to be one, doesn't it?
Because you could say there's been forwards as dominant as him, but in terms of the skill set and everything as a player, well, it's generational. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's you can't deny he's been the best like talent over the last 15, 20 years because you've got players that have been able to reach very get pretty high up in their careers, but like just his talent, you just knew like he can have a pretty shit day, but he'll turn it on at some point.
Yeah.
So
he had the ability, like to just like turn the game on its head, and I think he's the last forward for me, last player or last forward. Maybe Scott Benler is the last player, and once he goes, that like really is like childhood kind of memories for me. Like when I remember being 10 years old, 11 years old, switching on Friday night footy, MCG, like Sydney or Hawthorn playing, and it's the Bud like just dominating because that's what he did, right? If we're maybe taking it from forwards, because I think it's almost unanimous, he's the best forward of the generation. What about where does he stack up in terms of players generally?
Against rephrase that what? So against.
So like, where did you like best players?
Best players of our generation. Of our generation.
Of his generation.
Of his generation. This is tough because I couldn't actually. I'm trying to think who would be above him, right? Who's above him right now?
You probably go
generation.
Ablett, probably.
Yeah, but see, midfielders. I feel like you just can't compare them though. Like they're just too because
I think you have to look at the total package though, because we've established he's the best forward. He has to be the best forward.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I think Ablett won, and then he's not far behind. If he's second or third, he's not far behind.
I reckon with Buddy though, the thing that would separate him, and this is probably in the back half of his career, he could go missing, like completely missing. But that goes back to he just needed a moment though.
Yeah, he just needed that. Yeah.
Whereas you compare like to an Ablett, well, it's 24/7.
Yeah,
he's on the ball. So, but yeah, like that's why I don't want to, that comparison.
Says Judd. A good friend of mine has Ablett, Judd, Buddy. That's his three.
Ablett, Judd, Buddy. Yeah. No, I couldn't say Judd too, but that would be very biased of me to say it.
Say Judd. Oh, I think Buddy's the like if I want a player to get me off my seat to like just like say what the hell, what the fuck is going on, it's Buddy, because he just does anything he wants to do, right? He just does everything he wants to do. Ablett's probably the most consistent performer. Judd probably coupled like the consistency with probably he's Judd's best. When Judd was at his best, he was very good. But same with Buddy. When Buddy was at his best, he was very good, kicking 10 goals and kicking just snags of fun. If I had to put a gun to your head right now and give me, I won't ask you to give me the players above him, but if I were to give you a number, where does he rank? Or like a region, anyway.
He's top three. He'd have to be top three.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say top three. Top five, an absolute minimum, if I'm forgetting anyone. But I think if we're going to look maybe forward and we're going to look at it like the legacy he's like left in a sense, what players remind you the most of him? Because I feel like he's he's like a special. No, we're not going to see another Buddy Franklin. I think that genuinely, I think the closest we've got is Charlie. But as much as I love Charlie, he doesn't compare. Right now, he doesn't. I know Charlie's had his injury issues, which haven't helped him, especially early on in his career. Whereas Buddy kind of hit the ground running and had a pretty good run at it for a fair chunk of his first couple of years. But what's the closest thing we've got? Is it Charlie?
It would have to be Charlie because you got to like he's got the size, Buddy. That's why it's hard to compare.
Yeah.
You know, like even when you look at dominant forwards in the past with like your Ray Watts, Tex Walker, like they're big, but that's it. Like they'll take a really strong contested mark and kick you a set shot, and that's about it. Like Charlie's the closest in terms of, well, they're not just going to kick you a set shot; they'll run around from 50 and belt one and
20 touches and just dominate. Yeah.
So it's hard. I don't. Even just looking ahead, like I'm not going to put any pressure on 18s that I see now. I cannot make that comparison right now.
That would be bold.
It would be bold, but like even not like if I was honest, I look now, I was like, yeah, there's some good key forwards, but like that's it. Like they're just strong key forwards. That's it. They'll be great at that, but that's about it. So
yeah, I mean, even when you look at some of the best key forwards, like Tom Hawkins, right, Jack Reebok, Nick Reebok, even maybe to a lesser extent because he was able to push up the ground and almost play as a winger at times, right? But like permanent key forwards, they're the best key forwards. They're not the best players. But the reason why we speak about Buddy when it comes to the best players that have played and the best players of the modern era is because he would get bored of being inside 50, come up to the wing, have 20 touches, and just dominate and just kick goals from 65 and just like. And if you put him one out in the goal square, one out inside 50. If he kicks the ball on his head, good luck trying to outstrength him. If the ball's kicked out in front, good luck trying to catch him. The one of the most all-rounded forwards you're ever going to see. Shame to see him go. Shame to see him go because I feel like he had some tickets left. You disagree, which is fair enough. But I think it's is it Pendlebury left in terms of our kind of childhood? That's what it is for me anyway.
Yeah. But I see players like Bruce Gunston like as part of it as well, like those Hawthorne.
Yeah, maybe if we're talking like the elite of the like Gunston and Bruce are good players, but like
yeah.
I'd
agree.
It's probably Pendle's left, right? Oh.
Yeah, well, I would. Well, Selwood was the last one, really, and he's gone now. Hawkins, I guess Hawkins is in that category. I guess if you when you look at success and all that, but I'd say Pendlebury's the one spot now, definitely.
Yeah, Pendlebury's the last kind of proper 2012, 2013 for me is like pure football nostalgia.
10, 11 for me. So when Channel 7 changed the scoreboard, ruined football for me. Not ruined football, but that little one compared to the big one. Oh, come on! I mean, there's just something about
no. I see that 2013, 2012 when they changed the scoreboard. That to me is football peak.
I hated it. I was like, that's too big now, and it just is. No, this is a whole. We could go on for ages here, and then we could go to the whole Channel 10 discussion, which is just a video in itself. Like that is.
So I don't.
That's a dedication video. Oh, that was just football. That was football. That was 5-minute warning. Even as like a 7-year-old, I'd still shit myself when the 5-minute warning came up. Like you knew it was like you just had no idea. And, you could barely count to 26 at that age. So, like, you just, 26, 27 minutes. You had no concept of what it meant. Yeah. So it was like, there was something about it. But what a surprise. We've diverted to something else to talk about. But football was good back then.
Yeah. I just picture 2013, 2012, 2013, 2014 even, maybe just lesser. Friday night.
Yeah.
Either Friday night at the G.
Yes.
Marvel to a lesser extent, or Subiaco.
Yeah, Subiaco, yeah.
And then it just close games. I don't know. Just that's peak for me.
Yeah, I see it. I honestly can't, like, 13, 14, don't remember as much because we would 14 at least. 14, 15, like, my memory is a bit like iffy. Could tell you most of the games, but like I don't remember watching much, which is just weird. We were that bad. I just sort of like push it to the back. It's there, but I actually got to think about it. So
Marvel in that time is weird. Etihad. I don't remember. Okay, Fox Footy in 2013. That was weird.
Yes, that was something though.
When's
actually,
when's
peak Fox Footy?
And the new Fox Footy, because obviously that was the old Fox Footy, but the new Fox Footy.
Peak.
I reckon peak is like 2016.
Yeah, I think it's been pretty consistent when you look at like. It's been pretty consistent. Like I think it's harsh to say it was not so harsh at all, but I don't know, I couldn't think of a peak. Like I think it's been pretty there. Another way you can grade like times in football is like names a stadium, but then the what's it called, the advertising boards when they turn from electronic to the roll, the paper roll things. That's an era of football to me.
The what?
Like before, around the grounds, right? Whatever. The advertising boards and whatever they are. When they went from the electronic ones to when it was like the glass and then like the paper, and it would change or it would just be set. When it wasn't electronic,
no.
If it was just, you would know if you looked like around the grounds, like
probably if I look. Wait, you're are you older than me?
Yeah, by a year. Oh, not actually, not even by like 6 months.
Under a year, yeah. So I was gonna say I'm not that young, surely. Fuck.
No, like when they changed, I think Marvel changed in 2016. MCG changed in 2014, I think, or 2015.
I'll go back and watch old games. Also, the best thing to watch is to go back and watch old footy show and before the game episodes. I find so much comfort in watching 2013 footy show episodes. There's some on YouTube, but exclusively not 2014. Don't give me that shit. Exclusively 2013. I just find I find so much comfort in what it's so weird. Like I'll flick it on and I'll just be like, I'm just calm now.
It's because you just like you feel the smartest because you're like, I know what's happening here. I know what happens.
There's also like just the vibe around the genuine, like the production. Like the camera quality changes from 2013 to 14. It gets better in 2014.
Yeah.
But I prefer the 2013 one. I prefer it.
Yes, yeah.
There's something about it. And then before the games go, to bring that back.
And it's funny watching it now because, especially Tool of the Week, when you're young, you have no idea what that. You're just like, cool, they're winning a goddamn screwdriver, mate. Yeah. How good's that? And then
bring a power tool, and then now it's funny. Now it's genuine.
Yeah, that's actually funny. So there you go.
Yeah, Strawny. Fuck, bring back Strawny. I feel like we've spoken about this before. But this is like that meme where it's like guys can get so much fun out of just naming old footballers, old sportsmen, old sports people for like 3 hours. I feel like we could sit here and just talk about early 2010s, just football, just generally. But we have 15 minutes before the preview starts, so there you go. The final thing on this talking point, Shannon Hurn obviously has announced his retirement as well. Probably not going to speak about him as in depth as what we spoke about, but a fantastic career, premiership captain. I think one of my favorite things about Shannon Hurn's career is that I think it was in 2016 or 2015. He was asked what type of captain he would like to be, and his response was a premiership winning one. And obviously, fast forward a couple of years, he got that trophy and he got that medal. So there you go. But West Coast, it was Darren Glass, and then it was Shannon Hurn. If Tom Barras, Tom Burris.
Yes.
Tom Barris.
Yeah.
Jesus, I can't say my A's. If he stays, which he might not, but if he does, I feel like he can like carry the mantle off like really just solid fullbacks that have played for West Coast.
Yeah, I'd agree. Well, I thought the thing about Hurney was he did well. He looked like he was 35 about 10 years ago, and he's still been playing. So
yes, he has. He's done well.
I've always thought he's about to retire. Like I've never seen a player who just looks like he's about to like finish
It
up.
looks like it looks like his last year every year for like the last 10 years. Yeah.
So he's done very well, but
Yes.
consistency. He's just
never like
very
very rarely
reliable.
played a bad game. Very rarely played a bad. And for a fullback, that's what you would like. Anyways, so finishing things up, we spoke about 2013 footy showing before the game for longer than I expected. So let's go into the preview.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Question here: do you both have a second team? I don't think second team is the word.
Well,
soft spots.
Yes.
I've got a soft spot for the Giants for me.
That's your own thing, right? Like mine's St Kilda purely because mum's side of the family goes for it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I reckon I've been to nearly equal amount of Carlton St Kilda games.
That's concerning.
Well, look, you just.
Did you go to St Kilda when they were good and then have gone to Carlton?
No,
or was it both when we were bad?
It was sort of equal until like 2011. I was at the 2010 replay, which was that was something. But I do remember it very vividly. It was an experience. And then from about 2013 onwards, I reckon from 2013 to 16, I went to heaps more St Kilda games, by far.
There you go.
So,
despite your hatred for despite your hatred for the Saints, I feel like you secretly hate them. I feel like a lot of St Kilda fans hate their own club. I feel like it's weird. Anyways, mine's the Giants, has to be, despite the fact that they've killed us so many times. The big sound and the fact that their list is stacked and the orange tsunami. It's great. Love the Giants. But I wouldn't say second team. Soft spot is what I'd say. Soft spot's what I'd say. All right, let's move on to let's finish things up with tips and previews. You got 2 last week. You sucked. I got 4. So
I've been waiting all year to say that. You have just been waiting all year to just dish it to me.
The comeback is on. I'm only 10 behind.
And put in your multi to make a comeback in this one.
Yeah, well, I actually haven't won a bet in like ages. Should probably get on that. Anyways, let's kick things off with the Western Bulldogs and Richmond at Marvel Stadium.
We're elaborating, right? We're just a word or two.
But we got 10 minutes to fill. So.
Yeah, this is ridiculous to be this early and we're at the preview already. This will be interesting. I always keep saying it. Maybe I've said too often, but surely this game is like loser cut off. Maybe for Richmond at least, because Bulldogs at least have that extra win. Yeah. Well, they're not actually. They're only 2 points separated, aren't they?
Still, the thing's very close.
Well, I definitely think it's for Richmond because the Bulldogs have West Coast to come and someone else pretty hard. Hawthorn, is it? So I don't think this is as detrimental for the Dogs as it is for Richmond. Yeah. Richmond's run home. They've got
the Saints.
They've got St Kilda. Yeah, St Kilda, North and Port, which
Port away from home as well.
I mean, especially if they lose this week, St Kilda becomes 50-50. So yeah, tough run for them. I'm pretty torn on this one. I think Bulldogs. They just right.
The Marvel Stadium does for me. If it was at the G, I'd probably lean the other way. But it's at Marvel, so I think the Dogs would just be too good. I feel like they play their ground a little bit better. Yeah, fast ball movement through the middle of the ground. I feel like suits that ground a lot more, and I feel like that can be a weapon for them. So I'm going to go with the Dogs. 162 to 231 for the odds, just quietly. Essendon versus the West Coast Eagles at Marvel.
Now I can guarantee two things here.
Now
you can guarantee 2 things. You can guarantee Essendon will win, but you can guarantee this will be a contest and a half.
Yes.
This will be 4 quarters of football. This will be. That is the 2 guarantees.
Look. West Coast looked good last week.
Well, compare them to their opposition, right?
You didn't even speak about West Coast at all. I said, I said that they would have been a
Yeah.
game for a calendar year, and they've shut me up quite quickly. But
Yeah.
good on them. Congrats on them. They did a football win, which is something they haven't done in a while. Funnily enough, they won in round 2, and so did North. And yet everyone's speaking about how bad West Coast are. No one's speaking about how bad North are. There you go.
Oh,
But
something.
there is something. This screams Adelaide 2020 when they were awful. They finally won a game, and then they won their games for the rest of the year.
No. I cannot compare those two because at least Adelaide had. Well, I guess you could. Okay, there's comparisons, but
What was it? Let me look. Let me get it.
it was 2020. I'm assuming the game after they won, they played West Coast in Northern Territory or something like that. So like it's. I can't. That's why I can't.
So in 2020, Adelaide had lost every single game until they beat Hawthorn. Then they beat GWS, and then they beat Carlton, and then they lost to Richmond in the last round.
Yeah.
Fuck it. I'm going West Coast.
Oh my god. Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
If West Coast win, I get double that.
Yeah,
point.
get the double. Yeah, sure. Take it.
Adelaide versus the Suns. Adelaide are back.
Yeah, they're back in Adelaide. That's why they're winning.
Fair enough.
Suns will go. Suns will become the Gold Coast Suns again when they play interstate.
Although the Suns beat Brisbane.
Yeah, but I just can't take it seriously when it's over there. Like that's just all they're known for. They'll get some pretty decent wins up there, but you take them out of there. No, it's just too intimidating to come to Adelaide. Like I said, literally, I'll back Adelaide 9 times out of 10 if it's in Adelaide. So
yeah, fair enough. I would agree. Hawthorn versus the Collingwood Magpies at the MCG. Canada Pies bounced back after a humiliating defeat at the hands of the Carlton Football Club. Really shocking performance. I feel like their premiership window's gone after that game.
Actually, a talking point here. Hawthorn are wearing the retro Guernsey. I don't know if you saw from the 90s.
Oh, hot. Yeah, that's good.
Like it? Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Pretty on board.
I'm on board. I'm on board for retro. Anything nice. Retro, I'm on board.
And the dogs. The Robo dog is. Robo dog? Yeah. I know the Diamond dog. So that's out as well. So 2 retros. Collingwood should.
Yeah. Should and will, in my opinion, quite convincingly.
Well, I thought Hawthorn were onto something when they sort of nearly beat Richmond and thought St Kilda were just going to think it was going to happen, and then they turned back to Hawthorn again. So
naturally.
Yeah. So Collingwood.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully, yeah. Let's give the underdogs a chance, eh? Geelong versus Port at GMHBA.
Well, Port Adelaide. Wow, this is
they've slid hard.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, well, they're in a bit of, I wouldn't say a heap of panic, but also like kind of got to fix it up, right? Like you don't have a lot of time. You
did kind of prophesize this.
I don't think I said it on the show though, did I? I think I said this off the show, and I said to Tara,
you definitely said it to me.
I was like, if we beat them, this is before Carlton played, and I was like, if we beat them, they've got Collingwood, Adelaide, Geelong afterwards. This could derail their season in theory, because if they think it's just going to happen, it won't. And Geelong don't look much better either. But
yeah, poor loss last week.
It's weird because you're like, oh yeah, it's in Geelong, but they just lost in Geelong. But Freo seemed to play that ground really well, so that's why you.
Yeah.
Is that a? When's the last time Port went down? I swear it hasn't been a while. It's been
They won. Port won in Geelong a long time ago. Dom Cassisi, I think Dom Cassisi.
The 07 game.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Cardinia Park. They have not won since 2007. And they've played there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times since.
That's been pretty frequent. When's the last outing?
2022 last year.
They played there last year.
And they got 5 goals they got done by.
Yeah, look, I'd have to say Geelong based just that unfamiliarity for Port Adelaide going there.
Fair enough. For difference, I'll go Port. I'll back Port in.
And then they've got the Giants the week after. So
tough.
yeah, full on.
Very, very tough. The Battle of the Bridge, other Saturday night game. Sydney the Giants.
I see. I know you're going to go Giants, so I'm just going to say now I'll go Sydney, right? Just for the difference. But I do lean more towards the Giants for it though. I think.
I'm so
it's
on
just
the Giants
ticking. It's all clicking.
I'm so on the Giants bandwagon. It's unbelievable.
It's all clicking. And I was tempted to go with them last week, but I just thought the Ballarat thing, like Bulldogs have had more experience there.
Yeah.
But they did look like they were down out. The issue with the Giants now is that they concede way too many inside 50s, and
they're relying a lot on Sam Taylor and Jack Buckley.
It is a matter of time before a team probably does put them away, but they're somehow holding their ground. So, if you're not going to if you're not getting exposed, well, they keep going the way they're going. So
surprisingly, I don't think Hayden McLean, Joel Amati, and Logan McDonald are going to be the team to capitalise on their lack of or their copious inside 50s against. Finishing things up quickly because we've got 3 minutes until the preview starts. North versus Melbourne. Down in
Melbourne.
Boston. Yeah, quite convincingly. I think the Saints versus the Blues. I'm tipping the Saints because it's worked for the past 7 weeks.
Oh, great. Well, in my opinion, I think St Kilda will do this as comfortably as I've got money on this game, which I don't put money on.
Gamble responsibly.
But I am. This isn't even betting. This is with family.
Wager.
But I'm that confident. And I said this to you: we'll beat one of Melbourne or Collingwood, but you can guarantee with your life, St Kilda will come and beat us. It will happen. So, but just to go against your Carlton, but I do think St Kilda will win.
Okay, good. Actually, no, not good because I think we'll win, but I'm tipping Carlton for the shtick. Freo versus the Lions at Optus.
This is danger game.
This is
such danger game.
I'm tipping Freo. Fuck it. It'd be such a Brisbane game to drop.
They do go to Perth though and win. That's actually one place they play well. Weirdly, so I'll say Lions.
Fair enough. So we differ on. So you've got Dogs, Essendon, Adelaide, Collingwood, Cats, Swam, Saints, Carlton, Lions. I've got Dogs, West Coast, Adelaide, Collingwood, Port, Giants, Melbourne, Saints, Freo. So we differ on 1, 2, 3, 4.
So I'm giving you as good a chance as possible. I already disclosed when my double point round is coming in, so
we all know when it's coming in.
There's it's waiting.
Yeah, okay. There we go. All right, that's enough. Stick around for the preview of Carlton Kilda coming on in the channel in 2 minutes. Thank you very much for joining me, Nathan, once again. Thank you very much for sticking around for those who have. Follow both of us on Twitter at r_y_stammer at Nath Seppi. Yeah, make sure you subscribe to the Blue Ball YouTube channel, like the video, share it around. It would be greatly appreciated. Stick around for the preview that's starting in a minute. See you guys next week, and goodbye.